What have you been dealing with, thinking with lately, philosophically?
What I see in the world right now, in this revolution we're living in, is that industry is under threat. Established systems, the industrial system of making network television is an industry. It's not a human process, it's a corporate process. It's under threat from people like you, Brandon, who are making something on their own, with their name on it, putting it in the world, and it might not work. And if it doesn't work, well, you can try something else. But you don't have policies. Industry has policies. You're people. Too many of us are still stuck hiding behind the wall of industry. That's not my job. We don't do it that way around here. I wish I could help you, but I can't. And once we expose ourselves and are vulnerable to the connections that could be made, then the door to becoming Amanda Palmer or Hugh MacLeod is open to people who, to this day, haven't gotten enough credit for their talents. When I think about it, I've been saying it for a really long time, but now people are hearing it differently, is this idea of picking yourself. I still keep bumping into people who say things like, if you would just mention me on your blog, then blank would happen. And I'm not Oprah. And in fact, there is no Oprah anymore. There is no Martha Stewart anymore. There is no New York Times anymore. None of these media publications mean what they used to mean. But when you pick yourself and stand up and step forward, you can have a voice you didn't used to be able to have. So when I was growing up, there was Forbes and Business Week and Fortune, and that was it. And there was no blog, and there was, a business book got published every couple of weeks, and it was tight. There wasn't a slot for anyone like me. Now I can pick myself. Right? That when I decided to publish Purple Cow in a milk carton, no one could say no. I just did. Right? That if you want to write something or make a video that spreads, you look at Macklemore or whoever, and #1 on the charts. No, Clive Davis didn't pick him. He just did. And the same thing is true if you're a chemical engineer. That you don't need Eastman Kodak to hire you to do chemical engineering anymore. That you can put your ideas about chemical engineering in the world, not the whole world, but the chemical engineering world, earn a reputation, connect your peers, and the next thing you know, you're the one that people look to. Say, can you help me with this problem? And we're seeing this accelerating. It's happening faster than almost anything in human history.
What do you think about, what are the implications of the philosophy that you've been pushing after connection economy? What does that look like in a world that is further and further and faster becoming mechanized, automated, more efficient? Where do you see humans playing their part in 40 years, 50 years?
It's even 20 years. Almost all the jobs that we think of as jobs are going to get done by a robot or a computer in 25 years. Right? That if it involves manual dexterity, if it involves doing a task that can be described, we're going to get rid of that job. That's just going to happen. So what jobs are going to be left? The jobs are going to be left the ones where judgment is complicated, or where I can't possibly write down all the steps because you're doing it for the first time. Those are the only jobs that are going to be worth doing. So what I'm arguing is the way you get qualified to do those jobs is not by going to a famous college, and not by working your way up by doing mechanical jobs, but by getting experience, being in the world, looking people in the eye, and doing something for the first time, solving interesting problems. We're always going to need humans who do that. And if you have a reputation for doing it, there will be a line out the door to pay you. In 1850, the unemployment rate in the United States was basically 0 because there were no jobs. We hadn't invented jobs yet. And in 2050, the unemployment rate is going to be 0 again because there won't be any jobs. And so those are the bookends, 200 years of jobs. And on our way to there being no jobs, the question is, will you pick yourself so that you will be in demand as a team member, not someone who gets told what to do?
What are some of those interesting problems that you see coming or here right now?
Well, there's a lot of interesting problems. The big scale interesting problems are things like What will we do when our whole country is 70 years old? Right? How will we deal with test tube food? What happens to the food supply, the energy supply? These are big, 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 big problems that need people working on them. And then there are these tiny problems. Now that a lot of people on Earth have their food needs taken care of, what will get us out of bed in the morning? What kind of challenges will we look for? We used to call these things pastimes, but that was because we didn't have TV, so we needed to pass the time. Now they're, it's like, how do I spend the 8 seconds between this and this? When people start to create these little moments of connection, we adore them. So Instagram, whatever the company's worth, make up a number, is worth it because it was merely a way to feel a connection for 12 seconds at a time. Well, we're going to need want a lot more of those. And so there's all these scalable opportunities. But it still comes down to, can you do something that hasn't been done before? Instagram wasn't Flickr, it was something else. And anyone who says we've solved all the problems is crazy, because what we've really done is build a system for a whole set of new problems to be solved.